Good morning, everyone. So it's hard to believe that this is our 7th annual Planning Tools Expo, but despite the fact that we're holding this event virtually, we're very excited that we're able to do it. And in fact, one of the benefits, if you will, of a virtual environment is that we can enable more people to participate, and we're not limited by a room size or by technical equipment. So welcome everyone, and thank you for coming. Today's program spotlights some of the innovative technical planning tools that are either in development or have already been deployed in our region. And these innovations are making it possible for us and for our partners to conduct planning work more efficiently and more effectively. So hopefully your time today will be time very well spent. And specifically, we're going to hear presentations on 4 different tools. The NJTPA's use of Esri's ArcGIS Hub Initiative Sites for purposes of public outreach. We'll also hear about Rutgers University's NJ Floodmapper tool, the NJTPA's updated Engage with an exclamation point public involvement database, and finally, an update to New Jersey Transit's New Jersey Land Use and Transit Data Tool. So there's a wide variety of tools and applications, and I think there's something for everyone. After presentations on these tools, we're going to have open discussion with time for questions. Abstracts that are describing each of these tools, as well as bios for today's speakers, are available online. So thank you all again for attending today's Tech Tools Expo, and I will now turn it back over to Gabrielle to get us going. Thanks again.
Good morning. Thank you, Mary. So my name is Gabrielle Fossil. I'm a principal planner of GIS and planning tools at the NJTPA. Thank you all for participating in the 7th annual Planning Tools Expo. Before we begin with the presentations, I just want to go over a few housekeeping items. Please note all participants are muted. If you would like to ask a question, please use the chat box. Melissa and Rick will be periodically checking to see if there are any questions. We will be applying for AICP credits for this event. If you are interested in applying for these credits, if obtained, please enter your name, email, and AICP into the chat box. Meeting materials, including the agenda, speaker bios, and tool abstracts, were sent via email and calendar invite for your reference and can also be found online. I want to let everyone know that this event is being recorded. Again, thank you for attending, and let's begin. So I will start today's meeting with a brief update on the Hub and the initiatives the NJTPA has launched this past year. For those that attended last year's Expo, we had Esri present an overview of the Hub platform and the functionality it offers for data visualization, collaboration, and engagement. The NJTPA has been exploring this platform for the last 2 years. Within the last year, we have made strides in developing and launching various initiatives. Before we go through a couple of the initiatives the NJTPA has launched, I want to provide a brief refresher of what the Hub is. What is the Hub? The Hub is a part of the Esri platform that promotes collaboration and public engagement. It is the framework that brings data and concerned constituents together to build an informed, connected, and engaged community. With the Hub, the NJTPA has leveraged our existing GIS infrastructure to collaborate on data-driven decision-making processes for key initiatives using maps, apps, and data. So now let's go through some of the initiatives the NJTPA has launched. The first one is the Open Data Portal. Many of you are familiar with the Open Data Portal. The Open Data Portal is the agency's central repository for publicly available geospatial data, applications, and other GIS resources. In migrating to the ArcGIS Hub platform, we were able to gain some new functionality. One new functionality of the Open Data Portal is the ability to follow an initiative. By clicking the follow button, you are prompted to log in either using Facebook, Google, or an ArcGIS login. Following the initiative places users in a group that allows them to get notifications about the latest news, data, and events from the NJTPA. Like the old Open Data portal, a user can search the site for data sets. A user can search by clicking on a category or by keyword. As you explore the NJTPA Open Data portal, you will notice that the data is not just from the NJTPA. Our Open Data portal is connected with other agencies who have deemed their data open for public use. So by searching our Open Data portal, you can link to other agencies' data, such as NJDEP's or New Jersey's Office of GIS. I encourage you all to go to the site and explore the various data sites. We continue to maintain this portal with new data sets, as well as link to other organizations to ensure the latest information. The Open Data portal was the first transition to the Hub platform. We decided to move forward with ArcGIS Hub for other projects. One of those projects was the Mapform content management system. The Mapform, or Metropolitan Area Planning Forum, is a group of MPOs and COGs from Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania that have entered into an agreement to better coordinate planning activities in the multi-state region. As part of the Mapform group, the NJTPA was tasked with creating some type of content management system for members and the public to learn more about the Mapform and work being done within and among the members. The NJTPA was just starting to explore the Hub platform, and we thought the Mapform would be a great pilot initiative to include as part of our exploration of the platform. The site provides an overview of the forum region, as well as provides information on various working groups under the Mapform. This includes the Freight and Resilience working groups. Each working group has its own page that provides data, applications, and other resources pertaining to the group's work. We hope this initiative will enable both the Mapform members and the public better, more efficient access to the data, events, and information of what the Mapform is doing. The next site I want to illustrate is more a series of sites. Many of you are familiar with local concept development, which is the first phase of work for the Local Capital Project Delivery Program. It is important to the NJTPA to maintain a project's website continuity through all phases of work. We chose the Hub as a potential platform, as it allows continuous access to develop and maintain content, even if project entities change from project phase to phase. The Hub could provide this consistency and help support accurate and up-to-date information. It would also allow people to follow the initiative to stay better informed about the studies. Using the Hub platform, we can provide information on the status of the project, upcoming events, project documents, and solicit feedback from the community. The Hub platform allows for seamless integration of other Esri products like Survey123 and Web Apps. This seamless integration allows data to be shared and viewed by stakeholders and the public in a dynamic and innovative way. It also supports gathering feedback and information from people interested in the initiative. Collecting feedback from the public was one reason why we chose to use the Hub platform for the local concept development project, but it was also a key aspect in using the platform for our Plan 2050 site. The NJTPA is in the process of updating our long-range transportation plan. The plan makes policy recommendations, envisions new programs, and details transportation investments for the next 30 years. Learning about what people in the NJTPA region envision for their future regarding transportation investment is important in influencing the plan. Like the other initiatives, the ability to add events provided another way for the public to get involved and learn more about what was going on with Plan 2050. For those that could not participate, recordings of the events could be easily added to the Hub site. A key functionality of the Hub for the NJTPA was the two-way engagement. Having the ability to gather data is just as important as sharing the results of others. Oh, if you could mute yourself. Sorry for the background noise. Okay. So let me start. A key functionality of the Hub for the NJTPA was the two-way engagement. Having the ability to gather data is just as important as sharing the results and other data with our partner agencies, subregions, and the public. For the Plan 2050 initiative, the two-way engagement piece continues to be a work in progress, as we try to come up with new ways to engage the public. This is still something we are trying to better understand. How can we increase visibility and engagement using the follow functionality of the Hub? So with that overview, I want to go to one of the sites that I spoke about to quickly demonstrate the functionality. I will quickly take you on a tour of the Mapform Hub site. The site is public, so feel free to enter the URL into your web browser and explore along with me. So hopefully everyone can see the site. So on the first page of the Mapform Hub site, you will see the follow button. Clicking this will allow the users to follow the initiative and get notifications about the latest news, data, and events. The first page also provides an overview of the geographic region that encompasses the map form. Here we have some statistics relating to the region as a whole. As I spoke about earlier in my presentation, we added the events functionality to inform people about interesting and upcoming events for the map form and its members. We also added logos for each member agency. You can click on the logo and it will direct you to the agency's website. At the top of the page, we have other pages with additional information. The About page provides a description of the map form and how it started. We've also integrated a web application that is interactive and can be launched right from this page. Additionally, we added some interactive infographics on key demographic data that can be launched and viewed by the user. This is a perfect example of how we can seamlessly integrate information from other Esri products, such as Esri's Community Analyst application. So as you can see, you can interact with the data by clicking any of the items within the infographic. The other tabs, the Freight and Resiliency Working Groups, and the Performance Measure Information page, provide data, applications, and documents and resource links pertaining to work being done on these topics. I'll quickly scroll through these tabs. Again, we have the interactive web app that we've added directly to the site. Within this page, we have some gallery cards that allow a user to come in and learn more information about these topics that relate to the Resiliency Working Group. And the same idea is with the Performance Measures Information page. So this is a living site, and as new information and data become available, the site will be updated. An example of this is the COVID tab. The COVID tab was added in response to the ongoing pandemic to provide some key COVID-related data about the Mapform region. And by clicking on one of the items in the infographic, a user can explore more about the data. As you hover over, you get additional information. You can also down here within this infographic found on the Mapform Hub site, you can start to filter out some additional information about a specific region. Additionally, you can go to the next page, which offers more information related to COVID. This data was taken directly from Esri's Community Analyst application. So I encourage you all to visit the sites and follow the initiative. Please feel free to provide feedback on the sites. We're always looking for new ways to enhance the user's experience and provide new and interesting data. If you would like more information on the Hub or the initiatives the NJTPA has launched, please feel free to contact me. Thank you, and let's see if there's any questions in the chat.
I don't see any questions right now in the chat. This is Rick.
Okay. All right, then, with that, we can move on to our next presentation. Let me go back to my list so I can make Lucas presenter.
All right.
So now we'll move on to the next presentation on the NJ Floodmapper. So this will be presented by Lucas Markson. Mr. Markson is the Associate Director of the Office of Research and Analytics at Rutgers, where he provides leadership and direction on the development of analytical capabilities and services to meet the ongoing demand of stakeholders both within and outside the university. Lucas, whenever you're ready.
Great, thanks, Gabby. Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to be presenting, whoop, GoToMeeting is jumping out in front of my face here. Hold on. There we go. Today I'm going to be presenting on some of the tools we've been developing at Rutgers University to look at the impacts of flooding events on the coastal communities of New Jersey, as well as potential impacts of climate change. Just to give you guys a little bit of background, so as Gabby said, I'm part of the NJAES Office of Research Analytics. Our office provides basically advanced statistical, spatial, economic, and technological tools to projects and programs both across the entire university as well as with our external stakeholders. The group that I help lead specifically has expertise in GIS and in developing interactive database-driven web applications that often use interactive mapping components as part of those applications. The tools I'm going to be presenting today are actually part of a broader platform which we have called NJ Adapt. That's part of the New Jersey Climate Change Resource Center. NJ Adapt basically represents a suite of online tools designed to provide data to planners, decision makers, and practitioners to help address climate change in New Jersey. Currently, the NJ Adapt platform contains the NJ Floodmapper application, which I'll be showing you guys today, the Municipal Snapshots tool, which I'll also be showing because it's part of and integrated with NJ Floodmapper, and NJ Forest Adapt tool, which specifically looks at the climate change impacts on forestry resources in New Jersey. We do have new tools under development that we're continually working on and hope to have out soon, specifically looking at climate change on some different sectors such as public health and agriculture. And we are working on some statewide data dashboards to look at various factors of climate change and how they may impact New Jersey. So the NJ Adapt platform with all the tools that we're developing is all part of a very large team here at Rutgers across multiple disciplinary areas. And really, these tools wouldn't exist without everyone's contribution. So I just wanted to give everyone kind of a little hand here for their help. So today, the two tools, like I said, I'm going to be presenting you are NJ Floodmapper and our Municipal Snapshots tool. NJ Floodmapper is basically an interactive mapping website to help visualize exposure from coastal flooding hazards across New Jersey. It does provide you the ability to do map overlays throughout the state to look at the impacts of those flooding hazards, different types of resources throughout the state. One of the things I'll be showing you that is kind of innovative is what we're calling a total water levels approach for looking at the impact of sea level rise, as well as additional storm events on top of sea level rise in the future. And this application was funded by the National Estuarine Research Reserve System Science Collaborative through their Catalyst Grant program about 2 years ago. In addition, I'll be showing you the Municipal Snapshots tool, and this is actually an interesting tool that allows you to provide these quick and easy access reports that actually show the coastal flooding risk to various municipality level resources. And this is, like I said, has been integrated into NJ Floodmapper, but also is available as a standalone tool. So without further ado, let me jump into, let's see, how do I do this? Sorry, Abby, Gabrielle, how do I switch to another?
Oh, try stopping sharing your screen, and then if you hover over share again, it should let you select the application. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
I haven't used GoToMeeting before, so it's a little new for me. There you go. So I'm going to start with NJ Floodmapper here. So when you come to the tool here, it's a basic interactive mapping application. On the left-hand side here is where we have all the different data layers and types of things you can do on the application. So as I said, we do have what we call our total water levels tool, which I'll walk you guys through. We have a menu that describes various flood hazards, which I'll show you. Map layers, which contains all the different types of assets and different types of resources you can map across New Jersey. Are linked to our Municipal Snapshots tool. The ability to change base maps on the tool, so you can select between all different types of base maps available through Esri. We also have a save, share, and print functionality, which I'll show you. And then here you can always open up to see the legend. So to begin with, I'm just going to show you some of the different types of data sets that we have available in the tool. So within our flood hazards, we have the total water levels, which I'll show you through the tool in a little bit. The ability to add sea level rise. We have a drop down here. We have from all the way up to 10 feet of sea level rise. This is data taken directly from NOAA. So we could add, say, like 7 feet of sea level rise and add that to our map. When you add data to the map, you'll see on the top right here, we have what's called our layer control. This is where you can actually kind of interact with the layers on the map in different ways. So you can, for all the individual layers, you can change their opacity. You can actually just turn them on or off depending on what you're trying to look at on the various interface you're using. You can remove layers, and then you have a button up here which can open up the legend to show you what you basically have on the map currently. You'll see here when I add another layer onto the map, so say we're also interested in, say, FEMA flood zones. So now you'll see the FEMA flood zone data is there as well. And you'll see these little arrows here where you can actually change the ordering of the layering on the map. So you can basically get the layers in the different ordering that you'd want in order to look at the data that's specifically interesting to you. Like, so you can turn various ones on and off there as well. So in addition to sea level rise, we have what's called the sea level rise mapping confidence. This shows there are some areas in the map where there is a higher likelihood of sea level rise occurring than not. There's certain like boundary areas where it's uncertain whether or not sea level rise may impact those areas. So you can view those areas specifically. We also have data from Hurricane Sandy, from the surge extent that occurred from that storm. We also include the categories 1 through 4, the slosh modeling for hurricane inundation layers that you can add onto the map as well for flooding. And then as I showed just now, you also have the FEMA flood zone as well, which include the most up-to-date firm data from FEMA. In addition to the flood hazards, like I said, we have our map layers. These are where we base all the different types of additional data you can add to look at the potential impacts of those flooding events on the specific areas. So we can zoom in, let's say, on Atlantic City area, since it's clearly going to be impacted by 7 feet of sea level rise here. We have, the basic boundaries, so you can add your county or municipal boundaries if you're interested in seeing those designations on the map. We have a category called infrastructure, which includes things such as wastewater treatment plants, energy generation facilities, mobile home parks, child care centers, tidal water public access locations, and power plants in New Jersey. Let's see if we have any power plants in the Atlantic City area. We have one, but it's actually safe. We have one over here that it looks like it's being impacted. And all the layers are interactive. You can click on them and it'll give you a pop-up window that gives you description and information about the specific point you're interested in. We also have a facility section, which includes schools, fire stations, hospitals, law enforcement facilities, nursing home and assisted care facilities, evacuation shelters, as well as historic preservation. So we could add, say, hospitals to our map to see what hospitals may be impacted by 7 feet of sea level rise. Again, you can see those appear on the map here with their icons. And they're interactive. We can see that this is John Brooks Recovery Center. We've also added some information on transportation. So we have hurricane evacuation routes that can be added to the map. We have the New Jersey bridges layer, which includes all the bridges in New Jersey. We also have data on rail lines and gas stations. Under environmental hazards, we have known contaminated sites in New Jersey, as well as EPA cleanup sites. These can be interesting to see if there are potential locations that may be impacted if they're inundated with water that could cause different hazards if there's any dangerous chemicals leach into the water supply there. Under marsh and open space, we have data on tidal marshes. We have open space locations throughout the state. We also have some data on the marsh retreat, which is interesting. So this actually shows how marshes can be impacted by different levels of sea level rise, 1, 2, and 3 feet, as well as data on marsh edge erosion that can be added into the maps. We also have some data on social vulnerability. As part of this, we do have a special disability snapshot that's available through the tool here, which provides information at the municipal level on the disabled population within that municipality to understand the potential impacts on those specific vulnerable populations. We have added in here the new NJDEP Environmental Justice Overburdened Communities data set, which can be added to the map. We also have the CDC's Social Vulnerability Index. This actually gives, I believe it's census tract level data on index for different types of vulnerability. So we have it broken out by socioeconomic vulnerability, household composition vulnerability, race, ethnicity, and language, and housing and transportation. We also include data from the United Way's ALICE households data. ALICE stands for Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed Households. So this is basically a kind of a working definition of working poor that you can use to look at that data at a municipal level across the state. We also have data on veterans populations. We also include the Department of Community Affairs the MRI distress score from their Municipal Revitalization Index. Also data on housing that was built pre-1970 that may be particularly at risk from flooding events. We also have data on homelessness counts. This data is a little coarse. It's only available at the county or multiple county area, but it's something that we felt was important to include as it could be useful for certain planning purposes. And then we also have land scan data. This actually is a data set from Oak Ridge National Laboratories that actually provides specific data on where people are actually located throughout the state using their satellite imagery technology. So each pixel here actually represents a number of people in that particular location, which can be actually good to understand where people are actually located versus when you're always looking at things such as like census tracts that are more kind of broad and obtuse about where the people may be located within them. We also have some data from FEMA on the repetitive loss. This is actually financial data from them at the municipal level showing the amount of payouts for buildings and contents for repetitive loss and severe repetitive loss throughout the state, and for the National Flood Insurance Program. So that's additional data that can be added into the analyze across the state. And then we have land use land cover with the most recent 2015 data from NJDEP that can be overlaid. So you can do that as well. And then you can always move that down below. Oops, it's over here. Like I said, you can play with the opacities to kind of see what areas would be impacted by those. I'm going to remove all right now. So right now I'd like to show you guys this total water levels tool. When you first open the menu here, you're actually given the option to actually go through our interactive walkthrough tool, which kind of explains the different steps involved in using that tool. Or if you're a return user and you already know how the tool works, you can jump right in here and make your selections for your criteria here to get your total water level event on the map. We're going to do a little walkthrough tool here. So it begins with giving you a brief description of what the tool is and what it's used for. Then we actually have a little video here that kind of explains the concept of total water levels. We start with our current high tide, which is our mean high water mark. We're adding sea level rise on top of that high tide mark, and then looking at what a potential flood event, storm event would look like on top of that sea level rise. So the first step in using this tool is to select a location. This is based on NOAA tide gauges that are available throughout the state. So in this case, you want to pick the one that's closest to the area that you're interested in. So for now, let's use Atlantic City since that's what we're looking at currently. Your next step is selecting your emission scenario. So you can select between a low, a moderate, or high emission scenario depending on what you believe the future may hold in terms of carbon emissions across the country and the world. So in this case, we can go, let's say, with a high emission scenario, we're going to be a little pessimistic today. The next step is you want to select your planning horizon. So what time period are you interested in looking at the potential impacts of sea level rise and flooding events on? This can be impacted by what it is you're specifically using this for. So if you're looking at siting some kind of specific type of infrastructure, whether or not that's something that you need to plan for 100 years out versus maybe 50 years out, can impact the time period. 2050 is kind of a popular one to use because that's kind of right from current day. It's kind of the length of a 30-year mortgage for buying a home. For today, let's pick like 2090, pick something a little further out. So then based on your previous selections, your location, your time period, and your emission scenario, the tool now provides you with the actual estimated sea level rise for your location based on those, and gives you the percentage, the probabilities of each of those different types of sea level rise events occurring. So your first one here is the highest chance of occurring. So you have at least a 95% chance of it hitting 1.4 feet or more of sea level rise by that time period. Again, this can be based on what it is you're planning for. So, planning for an electrical substation, you may need to plan for even the lowest possibility, but the highest risk scenario versus something that may require a lower risk. So we'll go with 3.4 feet as our approximate for a 50% chance today. Now you're able to select your flooding event that's going to occur on top of your sea level rise. You can keep it at 0 if you just wanted to look at the sea level rise estimate. But we also provide selections here for kind of standardized flooding events. So your annual flood, your 2-year flood, 10-year flood, and 100-year flood event. You can select any of these if you'd like. And then we also have a drop-down that includes the flooding events from historical flood events at that NOAA tide gauge location. So you can actually add things such as Hurricane Sandy, or Hurricane Gloria from past events. So let's say we wanted to see what a Hurricane Sandy event in this location would look like. You can see when you pick Hurricane Sandy, it actually shows what the storm event was at that location in terms of the amount of flooding water. So now when we hit next, we're actually given our summary here. It shows all of our selections and it gives our total water level estimate, and then it always rounds it to the nearest book. That's what we have data for. So in this case, 8 feet. You can hit add to map, and you'll see it adds your 8 feet of total water level directly onto your map for you. And then, like I said, you can add on additional information on top of that. So if we wanted to look at, specifically impacts on schools in the area. So real quick, what I also want to show is our save, share, print option. So from this menu here, you have the ability to basically save or share the current map. If you select this, it provides you with a link you can provide to other people. If you actually open that link up in a new tab, you'll see what it does. It actually opens up the mapping application with all the data layers you had loaded with the exact map extent you selected. And even if you had select specific opacities for these layers, it would restore them as well. So you basically able to provide someone with the exact mapping application as you were using it for them to use as well. We also have the ability to print the current map, which gives you a nice kind of printer-friendly version of the map. We also have a map image, which will just provide you with a PNG or JPEG image of the actual map itself. And then we also have what we're calling our minimal view. This is a nice option if you wanted to provide a map, nice looking map with a large legend that you want to say embed in a presentation or in a report. So you can actually just take a screenshot of this and use it directly in your reports. Last thing I'll show you guys before I finish up is our municipal snapshot. So from here, you can actually select your county and your municipality that you're interested in. And then you'll see we have a selection of 6 snapshot reports you can choose from: a built infrastructure, critical asset, natural and working lands report, a public health report, a vulnerable populations report, and a disability profile report. You can go to any of these, and it brings you up a printer-friendly and downloadable PDF version of a map of a little report here. Provides you introduction about coastal flooding hazards, a little map of your location, and then it actually provides you with detailed tables and graphs showing the actual impact of both 2 feet of total water level and 7 feet of total water level on those specific type of assets within your municipality. And within each of these are links that will actually open up a live map with those assets already mapped on the map and both of those total water levels available, so you can actually then interact with the data. We have interactive graphs here as well, so you can see the data here for the different types of things. You can also, from the menu up here, export the data or download it as an image file, so you can take any of these graphics and embed them into another report or into a presentation. And then we have maps, static maps, just kind of show the impact of the total water level and the different assets for that specific report, with an appendix that kind of explains our total level approach at the bottom. So from the actual municipal snapshots tool here, like I said, it's basically a similar interface where you can select your county municipality and all the reports are available here. Some of the other ones we have is, say, a public health report. This one, we're actually incorporating some of the projected climate data that may be of impact on, say, public health. So looking at things such as the number of days above 95 degrees Fahrenheit, the change in the max temperature in July. So they may have impacts on especially people who are vulnerable to, say, heat stroke. Impacts on health-related sites to exposure, so looking at impacts on hospitals and nursing care facilities, environmental impacts could have health impacts on people. And then we have links to some of we also have a specific vulnerable populations report that you can pull up that basically provides statistical data from the American Community Survey for your municipality and looks at these are all the individual factors that go into the CDC social vulnerability index. So looking at things such as the amount of people below poverty or that are unemployed, and actually giving an estimate on the numbers of those people that are be impacted by 2 feet and 7 feet of total water level. Different age categories, single parent households, minority statuses, people who don't speak English as well, housing and transportation impacts on people, group quarters, so on and so forth. So I encourage you to go and explore some of these reports. Like I said, we have other ones on looking at the critical assets, natural and working lands, which includes things such as, impact on wetlands, tidal marsh, open space, ag and forest land, impacts on marsh erosion, wetlands retreat, access points within the municipality. In addition, just so you guys are aware too, all the data that is on our application is available for you. So we do have access to all map services, so you can actually pull all the data sets we have into ArcGIS directly from the map services that are available. And we also have a data sources page, which provides basically metadata for all the data included on the application, as well as links to those data sources as well. In addition to that, we do have a little tour functionality, which is not working today. I apologize for that. If you are using the tool and you run into a problem like I just did, you can actually hit the report a problem page button there. You can provide your name, email address, and a comment about what you experienced on the site. And if you actually are able to take a screenshot, you can upload a screenshot to this and submit it to us. This provides it directly to our office, which will allow us to debug and correct the issue as quickly as possible. So that's basically all I had to show with you guys today. I'm happy to take any questions, or if there's anything in particular you guys would be interested in seeing, I'd be happy to show that.
Okay, so there's one question. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, there's one question in the chat, and it comes from Tom Thorson. He asked, "What is the source of elevation and the vertical accuracy of the data?"
So we're not, the data we're using is directly from the authoritative sources here. So NOAA developed all the sea level rise data, and I believe they were using, don't quote me on this because I'm not a climate scientist, so I don't know exactly how the data was produced, but I believe they were using either the digital elevation models or LiDAR data to develop those. The total water levels was developed by NJDEP and followed the same methodology that NOAA did in their sea level rise estimates. So it's using the exact same methodology in terms of elevation. So I'm sorry, I can't speak specifically to that, but I can forward that question on to someone who'd be more able to answer that.
Okay, one more question from Keith Amos. He asked, can the tool calculate impacts by selected geography or assets? For example, total area impacts by municipality or mileage of vulnerable transportation infrastructure.
Currently, the application does not do that. That is something that we are working on a separate tool for DOT, and some of the data that's being created through that will most likely be integrated into tools such as Floodmapper. We are looking at the Center for Remote Sensing and Spatial Analysis has created some data layers to look at major roadways that are basically impacted by different levels of sea level rise, as well as FEMA flood events. And then we can actually, yes, provide that data through we could create a new municipal snapshot specifically on transportation, which is something we're looking at to show the impacts of transportation, specifically to show mileage of roads impacted, things of that nature. So I appreciate the comment. Yes, that's something we are looking into adding.
Great, that was the last question.
Good. Thank you. How do I?
All right, well, I think I'm up next. So barring an introduction, I think I'm just going to dive right in. Hopefully everybody can hear me.
We can hear you.
Yeah, we good?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, let me give you your introduction, Ted.
Okay, thanks, Gabby.
I didn't unmute myself. I've been telling everyone to mute themselves, and I've muted myself, but I didn't unmute myself. So Engage is a toolkit that allows users to search more than 300 specific tools for innovative public engagement. This will be presented by Ted Ritter. Mr. Ritter is the NJTPA's External Affairs Manager. He represents the NJTPA at official meetings, conferences, and special events, develops creative videos and presentations, and manages innovative, award-winning public engagement projects. Ted?
All right, Gabby, thanks a lot, and good morning, everybody. I appreciate the opportunity today to talk to you about really one of the NJTPA's most valuable planning tools, and for you too, and also to let you know about some of the recent updates that we've done, right, that have made our Engage innovative public outreach database even better than ever. So let's first, before we get into that, step back in time a little bit. So several years ago, the NJTPA really started to work with Rutgers University's Voorhees Transportation Center, the POET team there, to research and conduct innovative public outreach. We wanted the NJTPA's public engagement to be more effective, more tactical, more inclusive and representative of our diverse region, population and place types. And also we wanted it to be more fun, right? So here we have some kids participating in the first version of NJTPA on air for our long range transportation plan a few years ago. We used this pop-up radio booth that you see here to get input from kids on the future of transportation from their perspective. And it worked out so well a couple years back that we just wrapped up a virtual version of this program for our next plan. And this radio booth concept is among the many different techniques and strategies that we include in our Engage database. So let's take a look at what the tool looks like, at least its public face. Okay, so we collected all of our research and results in a one easy to access place at the NJTPA's website, right? njtpa.org/engage. Here's where you can find our searchable database of all the tools and techniques, tips for planning and executing outreach activities, and some other useful resources. So we have like reports from focus groups and interviews with leading public outreach practitioners. And all of this was used to help us put together the database that can help really take your public engagement to a whole new level. At least we hope so, right? With our resources, NJTPA resources, you can now browse or search through more than 200 specific tools, innovative tools for public engagement. You'll find best practices, specific methods, or platforms to prepare for really and conduct your research, your homework first, and then actually go out and obtain valuable input from your stakeholders and the public. And you can search by a bunch of different ways, by place type. Let's say you can input your budget parameters, the type of outreach you want to do if you know that, the time frame for your project, and more. The tool is super easy to use, and it's designed to meet your needs. And I should add, it includes way more than just NJTPA public engagement success stories. We went far and wide on this. We didn't want to limit. So how have we updated Engage? All right, well, we started in the obvious place, really, by just kind of cleaning it up, right? So how do we do that? We removed any of the outreach tools that are no longer available, right? We fixed any of the broken links that invariably crop up, when resources get updated or they go dark or they're acquired or merged with others. So now when you find a strategy that you're interested in, you can be pretty confident the links are going to work. And if not, we want to hear about it. And of course, like transportation planning and engineering, public involvement, especially in the past year or so, is evolving. It's always evolving. And we sought out new tools in our update that are in use since we first launched Engage. And we look to include more tools that could aid in virtual outreach, especially those video platforms that have become so popular during the pandemic. And some no contact approaches used now by a lot of social services agencies and healthcare providers to effectively reach clients virtually. Here on this screen, you have some really cool, at least I think cool, examples of some of the new things, the new tools in our database. On the left here, you have At Stake. That is, it's actually a game, a virtual multiplayer game, and participants can role play as stakeholders and then develop solutions for community issues, which is pretty cool. You've got Big Marker, which is a video conferencing platform, and what's cool about this is you don't have to download any software. So it can be really good for holding certain virtual events and webinars. And then, of course, on the right, you've got MindMixer. And a lot of you might have heard of this one before. It's a platform for creating comprehensive and user-friendly public engagement websites. You can set up a MindMixer site with all kinds of cool features, forums, polls, all sorts of suggestion boxes, and even crowd mapping. And we at the NJTPA used MindMixer, in fact, extensively as kind of like our home base for Plan 2045 public outreach a few years back, and the polling was especially popular with the public. So I just want to now step through a quick example of a typical search that you could do, so you can get a sense of how this sort of works. So let's assume, let's start on the left here. Let's assume that my left. Let's assume that you're targeting low-income residents for a municipal project in a suburban community. So you've got low-income checked there on the left, and in the middle you've got municipality as your scope, and then the place type, geography, you've got suburban checked, right? And then you know your time frame. Let's say you got 1 to 3 months to get this thing done. So you check off your time frame. And then let's say your project is going to ask about proposed changes to, say, an intersection. So you'll check off mapping, visualization tools, and let's say mobile outreach. So you got options there, and you can also leave the type of tool on the far right there. You can leave that blank, and what that would do is give you a much broader array of tools. So in some cases it might be too much. It might be better to narrow it down. But if you don't know, you can explore. The idea here is I used to work with this guy in my previous life, Brian, and he always used to get frustrated, you know, in the production studio, and he'd say, I don't need this job. I can go wash dishes. And I always thought it was funny. I'm like, Brian, you know, there's more than 2 options in life besides your current job or washing dishes. You don't have to just select one or the other. So that's the theme here. You can select as many as you want. You don't have to be limited. And there's more than one way to go, just like real public outreach in real life. So this can really help you get started. So, okay, so we set everything up here, our parameters. Let's take a look at some of the options that our search produced. Okay, so you've got a bunch of different tools here that you could possibly use, right? Again, at the top here, you see your parameters that we already inputted, and you got everything now from charrettes to a drive-through open house to maybe a pop-up festival or speakers bureau, all sorts of different tools. You can click on any one of these things and it will give you some results. So let's do that. So here's what came up. We clicked on pop-up creative placemaking, which is pretty cool. It'll give you the types of places that it's been used, your general audience, and the scale, a brief description, and you can click on examples and resources to get more information. It's really easy to use. I always really dig it when comms and external affairs folks can get technical in a way that is super approachable, and that's really what this tool is about, right? So you don't have to be a twirly-whirly tech guy to be able to get this thing done. You can go in there and get your information and come out with a really good public outreach project. I'm confident that no matter what your parameters are, you're going to find something among these 200 tools that can help you. A lot of the NJTPA subregions have taken advantage of this and have really taken their public engagement up a notch. So look, thanks very much for your interest in the NJTPA's Engage database. I appreciate your attention and accommodating my my presentation style, which gets a little manic once in a while. If you have any questions, you know, I can, you see that Melissa posted in the chat the link to the actual tool, but I can answer any questions now. And of course, you can always hit me up, you know, on social or give me a call or email to get more information. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ted. Are there any questions in the chat box?
Not at this point.
Okay. All right, then we will move on to our last presentation. So for our last presentation, we are going to hear about New Jersey's land use and transit data application. Everyone can hear me, right? I didn't mute myself again, did I? This application Okay, this application debuted in 2017. The data application allows users to map, report, and download a range of land use, travel, public transit, demographic, and real estate development data. Version 2.0 of the data application will be launched later this spring. This will be presented by John Carnegie and Lucas Markson. Mr. Carnegie is the Executive Director of the Voorhees Transportation Center at Rutgers. Mr. Carnegie has nearly 30 years of experience in the fields of land use and transportation planning and policy at the municipal, county, and regional level. Lucas Markson is the Associate Director of the Office of Research Analytics at Rutgers. John and Lucas, please begin.
John, did you want to give an intro? You want me to just give some background on the app?
Given the short time available, take it away, Lucas. Thank you.
Okay. So just to talk about the app real quickly, so this has been an ongoing application development effort. It was originally developed in partnership with NJ Transit and the North Jersey Transportation Planning Association. In the last 3 years, NJ Transit has been critical in providing both the financial support and the technical support to help provide us with some of the information and data we need to further develop this site over the past couple of years. So today, what I really like to show you is we have a brand new version of the application launching hopefully within the next few weeks. Hopefully sometime in June. And I just wanted to kind of show you guys some of the improvements and the new functionality and features that we've added to the application to kind of get you excited for when the tool launches. So the tool, we did a complete redesign of the user interface compared to the old tool. A lot of the improvements are behind the scenes in terms of improved mapping performance, better efficiency with handling large data sets. One of the big things we did was to make all the data layers themselves interactive. If you're familiar with the old tool, we used to have separate controls for adding visualizations onto the map to see, and then separate tools for adding data layers on the map for interactivity, and that was a little cumbersome, and so we've kind of improved that now with the new version of the app. So we'll begin by showing you guys some of the things we've added here. So the new layout, we have all the data layers and menu options here on the left-hand side in this toolbar, and then on the right-hand side here, we have layer control similar to what I showed you guys earlier with the Floodmapper. And then all of our new tools that we'll be developing as part of this application to provide you guys richer analysis with the data that's available. Just to kind of show you guys with the development data, we have it broken out by development data, transportation layers, and then additional map layers. We have a find location feature to help find specific locations on the map. The ability to change different base maps. We've added the new save, print, and share functionality, which works similar to what I showed you guys on NJ Floodmapper. So for transportation layers here, we have it broken out by the various different types of layers we have available, the NJ Transit options in terms of rail, light rail, and bus, as well as other regional rails such as PATH, PATCO, SEPTA. We also have private ferry service and the location of NJ Transit park and rides. So we can just add our NJ Transit light rail to the map to begin with. And like I said, all the layers are now interactive, so you can pull up a specific station. You can click on the more information button, which will provide a detailed data window on the right here, which provides everything from the weekday service of that specific stop, the multimodal connections within walking distance of that stop, and boarding data, which we're actually working on updating up to 2019 currently. Similarly, you can also click on the route itself to get the ridership information for that specific route. And then what's kind of new that we've been working on continuously is how do we handle both the development data as well as the parcel level Mod4 tax record data available for the map. So with our development data now, you can actually select the specific county you're interested in. And then you have the ability to add separate layers onto the map, all of which are interactive. You can look at the number of development applications, number of residential units, square foot of office, industrial, retail, or other. So we can add, say, number of residential units onto the map. And so this will load onto it the parcels that have development applications with residential units on it. Like I said, you can click on any individual parcel, get some basic information about it, and then bring up the actual information for that parcel. So here we can actually see the actual development application and all the details regarding that development application. And we can always switch over to see the Mod4 data as well. So this actually, I don't know if you've used the old tool, this loads a lot faster and a lot more efficiently than it did on the previous tool, which we're really happy about. So it's a lot easier to work with. Similarly with Mod4, same thing, you can select a specific county and add that to the map. It'll add all the Mod4 parcel blocks. And so we can turn off our data there. And you can select any of the parcel blocks and pull up that information as well. So again, one of the nice things now is the ability to save, share, and print a map. You can get an image of the map, you can print a map, or you can get a link of the actual map with the data you have added on here. So I can like move in here. Let's move our transit layer above our our parcel blocks, and it provides you with a link here. You can actually click to try this link, and you'll see that it preloads the map at that location with those layers already there for us. This is really great if you're working collaboratively and you want to, you've done something on the map and you want to share it with someone. You can simply email them that link and they'll be able to see exactly what you were working on and do the same kind of analysis. The thing that we're really want to show off today is some of the new tools we're adding here. So we continue to have our download and report tool where you can select between a specific political area such as a county or municipality. You can select specific transit locations. So you can select like light rail and choose a specific line and a specific station, and then choose a quarter-mile, half-mile catchment area. Or you can do a custom area where you can select between doing a custom area of census block groups or parcel blocks. And then you have various drawing tools here where you can select an area and then draw, and actually shows you the radius of the area you're selecting. You'll see it select, and then it shows your selection here in terms of the parcel blocks you've selected. And then you can select between all the different data topics available, and you can either generate a data download, which actually pull all the data we have available within these different data topic areas as CSVs within a zip file for you, all organized, or you can generate a report, which provides that interactive report similar to what I showed earlier. Just takes a second to load because it's actually doing this in real time, the analysis there. Here it goes. So it'll load up a map showing our selected area, and it gives you information on the selection, on the development data we have available for that area, so development applications, Mod4 tax record, and then we have data on travel to work, so the different modes being used to travel to work. That's from the Census Transportation CTPP study that's done by Census. Different demographic data, owner-occupied versus renter-occupied units, years moved in, economic data in terms of job earnings within that custom area based on census data, housing costs, and then data based on environmental and planning data and land use within that area. Let's clear that out. Some of the new tools we're adding, we've added in a total water levels tool. This works the same way as the tool I showed you on NJ Floodmapper. We're actually going to be developing a custom walkthrough component for this. That'll be specifically around the land use and transportation aspect of looking at flooding impact. But you can go in here and basically select all the same options we had within the NJ Floodmapper tool, and you can basically add those different levels of data onto the map. Under the map layers, similarly, we've added a flood hazard area here. So you can actually add on sea level rise, total water levels data, FEMA flood zones, as well as the categories 1, 2, 3, and 4 for hurricane slosh modeling onto the map too, to look at potential flooding impacts on transportation within the state. We have added some of the new planning area zones, so urban enterprise zones, New Jersey opportunity zones, New Jersey smart growth areas, as well as New Jersey transit villages. And we are actually working on updating all these data layers so they're now pulling directly from the state OpenGIS data platform, so that they'll always be pulling the most up-to-date and current information directly from those map services. So we don't have to worry about continually having to like manually update data going forward. We're also working on a social justice tool. This is still under development. This will be to look at various different types of socioeconomic factors around transit locations throughout the state. So that's still under development. A new one that we're working on that's pretty much almost finalized is our TOD opportunity tool. This allows you to select either an existing transit location or a custom location by selecting a point on the map. So actually, let's see if there's anything right around here. And then you can select your radius as well. Actually, we do like this. So we'll do a 0.4 mile radius. And then you can select the type of land use types you're interested to include in your analysis to look at potential, where there could be potential for transit-oriented development. So we can look at vacant land, barren land, redevelopment, rehabilitation areas, brownfield development areas, as well as New Jersey opportunity zones. We're adding the ability to save this analysis. When you click that, it actually provides you with a link that you can then save and then use that to come back to the tool at any point in time with all of your selections saved, so you can rerun the analysis, the same analysis in the future. For now, we'll quickly run the analysis. The final report that you're going to see here is still in a beta. We're still working on adding in additional data sets and stuff into the report, but you'll get an idea of what kind of information we're going to be adding here. So it shows you a location of the point you selected in the radius, and then starts pulling in data from, you know, the vacant land data from Mod4, looking at all the other various Mod4 data. It pulls in the barren land from New Jersey land use land cover data, any kind of redevelopment or rehabilitation areas, and we're going to pull in the data for those to show those individually, and brownfield development areas if there are any, and as well as the NJ opportunity zones. So this tool is almost finished. It's still under development. And the final one that we're excited about that's still we're in development, but I can at least show you the functionality in terms of how it'll work in terms of selections. Oops, let me just go back in here. Clear that out. Is our corridor planning tool. This basically is going to be a tool that will allow you to either create a potentially new transportation route, whether that be rail, bus, you know, or any bus rapid transit or anything of that nature. Or add to an existing route. So if you're interested in doing analysis, like, well, what would happen if we added an additional stop and length to an existing route, or removed stops from a route, some things of that nature. Let me just turn this off. So this will allow you to, so say we're going to add to an existing route. So we can add in our NJ Transit Light Rail. We can add our Hudson Bergen Light Rail here and hit next. You'll see it loads that route onto the map. And now you have the ability to either draw an additional length to the route or add, and so you can either use a straight line tool or a freehand tool. So let's say we wanted to extend the Hudson Bergen Light Rail line up here. Just for argument's sake. So it adds an additional 18.94 miles. We hit next. You can see all the existing stops here. You could actually remove a stop if you wanted to see how it would impact the analysis, or you can add new routes, new stops by using the point tool. And for each of these, you'll see they end them here. You can add them to the bottom of the list here. You can add names for them so you can keep track of what they are. And then basically for the next step, it'll allow you to pick a specific size buffer analysis to be formed around the stops and as well as the route itself. We're still working on what data will be incorporated here, but we'll include different types of analysis around the route itself, looking at the impacts on potential land use land cover where the route is being proposed, as well as a property analysis. And then around the stops and stations, we'll be pulling data from similar to what we're doing from our reporting tool already and looking at, you know, development data, travel to work data, demographic data, environmental planning and economic data. And similarly, you'll have the ability to save this analysis. So if you create a new route and you want to save it to be able to come back to it and work on it again at a later time, you can do that. And then you'll have the ability to run the analysis once that report is finished. Like I said previously, you can actually, if you want to create a new route, you could do that as well. And same thing, works the same way where you can basically just create, so if you want to do some kind of a new, say, even if something is similar, you could actually even probably use this for even looking at something like a new bike lane route or something like that. Really, it's kind of open to whatever you can think of to use it for. And like I said, you can add your point locations and run the analysis. So a lot of new things coming with the tool. We're, like I said, we're very excited about a lot of them. We're really interested in a lot of your feedback. John, was there anything else you want I should discuss about the tool? I think we covered most of the new things that were coming.
Nope, I think you covered everything. Yep.
Great. I'm happy to take any questions you guys have about the new tool or anything that you're interested in seeing.
Let's check and see if there's anything in the chat box.
Yes, there were two questions for this one, Gabby. The first, oh, I'm sorry. Where did the first? I'm sorry. The first one was just about the link. Ignore that. We addressed it. The second question was you mentioned that boarding a lighting info at each bus stop would be added. Right? They're asking where is that information coming from?
So not for buses. We have the boarding the lighting data for all the rail. So we're getting for all the NJ Transit infrastructure. We're getting that directly from NJ Transit. They're providing the ridership and boardings for all of their light rail and commuter rail lines, as well as for the New York lines that run into New Jersey. And then John has been working with Path, PACO, and SEPTA to get their ridership information directly from them.
And we should probably mention too that I don't think you mentioned the high frequency bus corridors that we also included in the app.
Sorry, yeah, so we do have our analysis. This was added about a year ago now, our high frequency bus analysis. And so this actually, this is analysis we did in-house in collaboration with NJ Transit to help provide information about kind of the bus corridors that provide high frequency stops. So a certain number of stops of service per, every so many minutes along certain routes. And so this kind of gives you a visualization to kind of see where kind of those heavily used and heavily boarded routes are for bus stops. And so we've broken it out by we call it intrastate. So these are lines that service areas outside of the state, so into Manhattan and into Philadelphia, for instance. Then we also have,
we have the lines that connect to a multimodal connection that get you into Manhattan or Philadelphia, and then high frequency corridors that are serving intra-state locations.
Yes.
And the thresholds that we used for this were in urban counties like Hudson. We used service that was at least a bus every 12 minutes, and then in the less dense parts of the state every 22 minutes. And this is includes only New Jersey Transit services, not the private carrier bus services that are operating in the state, mostly because we didn't have a consistent set of data available in terms of the service characteristics.
And then there was one more question. What is the geographic extent of the development data?
So the development data at this point is Hudson County, all the municipalities. I believe it's all of the municipalities in Hudson County. We started with those served by the Hudson-Bergen Light Rail line, but we've been upkeeping it for Hudson County. We added over the last couple years data for municipalities in Bergen County and Passaic County that would be served by the Hudson-Bergen Northern Branch Extension and or the Passaic-Bergen-Hudson Transit Corridor that was being studied over the last year or so. And then we have also included data for the city of Newark from 2017 forward.
Okay, one more. This one has a lot of questions. Will NJ Transit be using this tool to examine improvements to its bus service? I don't know if you guys could answer that or not.
I'll leave that one to Megan.
Those were all of the questions that came in for this tool, but Lucas, while we have you here, we had a late question on your other presentation on the Floodmapper tool. Someone asked if the tool could calculate impacts by selected geography or assets. For example, total area impacts by municipality or mileage of vulnerable transportation infrastructure.
So the municipal snapshots do provide that impact analysis at the municipality layer level. We are looking to add a custom selection tool, similar to like what we actually have here in the NJLU Trans tool, where you can actually use the drawing tools to select a custom area, such as a neighborhood or something like that, or a corridor, and run analysis on that and basically be able to get those snapshot reports to show the impacts on different types of infrastructure. Like I said, we are looking to add kind of a transportation impact report as well to our municipal snapshots tool set. So definitely, there's a certain amount that's there already with the snapshots, and there's more coming. So
great. Thank you so much, Lucas.
Welcome.
I'm going to share my screen. So thank you again to the presenters. So we'll move on to the next portion of the expo, which is the open discussion and Q&A. So I want to open it up. Please use the chat box if you have any questions, or if you would like to speak, please put your name in the chat box and we will unmute you. So are there any questions, comments, any feedback from any of the tools that we presented?
Not seeing any. I'm going to share the link again to the event page just in case folks didn't see it earlier when I posted it. This has the abstracts for all of the tools that we showcased today, and there are links to the individual tools. We didn't include links for the hub site because we're using it for a number of projects. That would be a lot of links, but I did drop those in the chat earlier.
Oh, I do see something now in the chat box.
So Leo's asking if the tools presented here today are available on our website. They're available on that link I just shared. Our tools, Engage and the Hub Initiative Sites, are all linked through our website, but the other two tools are not NJTPA specific. So we do have links to them on today's event page, which has the abstracts and additional information about them.
So Ken has a question. Lucas, does NJMapper include any flooding data for rivers such as the Raritan River?
So that's actually something that's in development right now. It's part of a separate project. We have a team that is actually developing a riverine flooding model for the entire state of New Jersey. And so when that data is completed, I think right now it's anticipated sometime this fall, that will be incorporated into the Floodmapper. The one thing that we are adding into the next couple weeks, we'll be doing an update to the Municipal snapshots tool. Right now, the snapshots are purely for coastal flooding. So if you pick an inland municipality, you won't really see any analysis. We're updating that to include the FEMA flood zone data for all inland municipalities, so you can at least see how the 100-year and 500-year flood event areas by FEMA would impact inland municipalities as well. So that would provide at least some impact in terms of riverine flooding.
Thank you, Lucas. So we have another question. It looks like the LCD sites you've showcased are developed using ArcGIS Hub. Do they follow a template provided by Esri? Does NJTPA provide them for projects, or are they developed by project teams? So those specific local concept developments, we actually, the NJTPA, used a template from Esri, but then we kind of took it upon ourselves to kind of customize it for the LCD sites. But we did have like a starting point. But I would say that we then created a template, and then we used that. We were able to use that template over and over again. We were able to save what we had done for one site and use it again for the other LCD sites.
Yeah, and I will add that Esri does have their own templates. We just happen to customize one for our purposes. But if you were looking into their software, they do have a lot of templates you can choose from.
So are there any other questions? Again, it doesn't have to be a question. It could be, comment, feedback. So I'm going to say that we don't, I'll give it one more. Questions, comments, feedback?
I just want to let everyone know, if you do have any questions afterwards, after the presentation's over, feel free to contact us at NJTPA, and we'll gladly answer.
Yeah, so I guess we'll just wrap it up. Again, we will be sending out a survey link after this meeting, so please take the time to complete. Your feedback and insight are very helpful as we continue to plan the next and subsequent Planning Tools Expos. Also, please remember, if you're interested in the AICP credits, if obtained, please remember to enter your name, email, and AICP into the chat box. With that said, the 7th installment of the Planning Tools Expo is now complete. Thank you so much to the presenters and the participants, and NJTPA staff for helping me arrange this and helping me also practice going through some of this stuff. I really appreciate it. So with that, everyone, have a great day, and again, thank you and goodbye.
Gabby, you just have one more question. Oop,
Oh.
sorry. Someone would like to know if the recorded presentation is available online.
Yes, we will put, I will make sure that I ask the presenters if they're okay with sharing their presentation, and if they are okay, we will add those to the NJTPA's website along with the recording.
Great. That's it.
Great. Thank you.